There are two kinds of pain. The sort of pain that makes you strong, or useless pain. The sort of pain that's only suffering. I have no patience for useless things. The ballroom shimmered. Crystal chandeliers dripped light onto the assembled bodies, the kind of crowd that could make or break a political career with a whispered word or a casual glance. William's wedding. To Olivia. My Olivia. Or rather, was my Olivia. The irony wasn't lost on me. I straightened my tie, a perfectly tailored piece of fabric that felt oddly comfortable, like a second skin. Beside me, Dad, former President Jonathan Sterling, exuded that effortless aura of power that only comes from years at the top. We paused just outside the ballroom doors, letting the moment build. Timing, as always, was everything. Then we walked in. It was like a switch flipped. Every head turned, every conversation died, every camera lens swung in our direction. The bride and groom, for a fleeting moment, were forgotten. It was all about us, or, more specifically, all about me. Whispers rippled through the crowd, like a tide shifting. Why is the president sitting with Nathan? What does this mean? Is William in trouble? Good. They were already questioning. The seed of doubt had been planted. The wedding march played, a saccharine melody that grated on my nerves. Olivia, looking stunning in white, of course, walked down the aisle toward William, who stood there, a forced smile plastered on his face. He looked nervous. Good. I subtly slid a tablet across the table to Dad. He glanced at it, then back at me, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. On the screen, a live feed from a national news channel. It was me. Or, rather, the carefully crafted version of me I'd presented to the world. I didn't just lose my fiancée, I said, my voice measured, laced with just the right amount of grief. I lost trust in my brother. The interview was a masterpiece, a symphony of carefully chosen words, subtle implications, and just the right amount of vulnerability. I was playing the betrayed brother, the innocent victim, the man wronged by those closest to him. And the public was eating it up. Even as the wedding ceremony droned on, the real drama was playing out online. My phone buzzed constantly with updates. #untrustworthy William was trending. #Nathan deserves better was exploding. The narrative was shifting. The tide was turning. William and Olivia could feel it. The air had changed. The whispers were louder now, more pointed. The smiles were different. They weren't the center of attention anymore. I was. As the officiant droned on about love and commitment, I leaned towards Dad. William is a burnt card, I whispered, my voice barely audible. It's time to choose sides. Dad watched the interview on the tablet, his expression thoughtful. He took a sip of his champagne, then nodded. William has been foolish, he murmured. He takes after his mother. Impulsive, emotional. You, Nathan. He paused, his gaze meeting mine. You were always like me, ruthless. The ceremony ended. The guests applauded, a polite, almost perfunctory sound. The focus was elsewhere. It was on me. As the wedding party moved to the reception hall, I offered a toast. To William and Olivia, I said, my voice smooth, sincere. May your happiness be long. I raised my glass, a small, almost imperceptible smirk playing on my lips. Because I knew this wasn't a wedding. It was a funeral for William's career, and I was the undertaker. 6 months ago, the air crackled with a different kind of tension. Not the forced smiles and whispered judgments of a wedding, but the raw, electric energy of a political battlefield. The prize, the Democratic nomination, the path to the presidency. William and I, we were the top contenders. Two sides of the same coin, forged in the fires of ambition, raised in the shadow of Dad's legacy. But only one of us could win. I was the House Majority Whip. I controlled the legislative branch with an iron fist. I knew where every vote lay, every pressure point, every lever of power. I commanded loyalty. I crushed opposition. I played the long game. Politics for me was chess, Calculated, strategic, ruthless. William, on the other hand, was the golden boy. The governor of California, charismatic, beloved by the public, a media darling. He was all flash and sizzle, a master of sound bites and photo ops. He was popular, a dangerous thing in politics. We both needed one thing to secure the nomination: Dad's endorsement. It was the kingmaker's seal of approval, the ultimate weapon in the political arsenal. And Dad, he was playing us both. He was a master of the game, a puppeteer pulling the strings from behind the scenes. His loyalty wasn't to us, it was to power, and he'd back whoever he thought was the surest bet. So the under-the-table war began. William started by trying to poach some of my congressional allies. A few subtle phone calls, promises of future appointments, the usual insidious whispers. I nipped that in the bud quickly. A few strategically leaked stories about William's less-than-perfect past discretions made it clear that crossing me was a dangerous game. I countered by subtly undermining his public image. A few well-placed questions about his handling of certain sensitive issues in California. A few leaked emails revealing his less-than-brilliant decision-making. Nothing overt, of course, just enough to plant the seed of doubt in the public's mind. The media, always hungry for a good story, lapped it up. The narrative began to shift. William, the shining star, was starting to tarnish. We both knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a nomination. It was an inheritance, the legacy of Jonathan Sterling, and neither of us was willing to lose. But William was not that easy to overcome. He had a certain resilience in him, just like our mother. And he was such a Boy Scout. But putting overconfident Boy Scouts like him in their place was my bread and butter. The game was on, and I was playing to win, no matter the cost. Something was off with Olivia. Subtle shifts, almost imperceptible. Secretive phone calls, hushed whispers when I entered the room. Suspicious trips. Business meetings, she'd say, her voice a little too casual, a little too rehearsed. I'd noticed the changes, of course. I noticed everything. But I hadn't acted. Not yet. I watched her, studied her, like a scientist observing a specimen. I cataloged her every move, every nuance, every lie, and I waited. Patience, as always, was key. "She's been different, don't you think?" I asked Marco one evening, swirling the whiskey in my glass. We were in my study, a sanctuary of dark wood and leather, the kind of room where deals were made and empires were built. Marco, ever perceptive, nodded. "She seems distracted," he agreed, less focused. "Focused on what, Marco?" I asked, my voice smooth, almost casual. "The wedding, our campaign, or something else?" Marco hesitated, then met my gaze. "You've noticed it too," he said. "Noticed what, Marco?" I pressed, knowing full well what he was going to say. "The distance," he said carefully, "between you and Olivia." I took a sip of my whiskey, letting the silence hang in the air for a moment. "And what do you think is the cause of this distance?" Marco shrugged. "Wedding jitters?" he offered, his voice laced with skepticism. "Or something more concrete?" I suggested. Marco's eyes met mine, and a flicker of understanding passed between us. "You want me to have her followed?" he said. "I want to know the truth, Marco," I replied, my voice cold, hard, whatever that truth may be. Marco nodded. "Consider it done." The surveillance was discreet, professional. Marco's team was the best in the business. They were ghosts, unseen, unheard, capturing every detail, every nuance, every betrayal. It wasn't long before the truth came out. Olivia. Sneaking into William's hotel suite late at night. Multiple nights. The photographs were damning. William, in a bathrobe, opening the door for her. Olivia slipping inside, her face flushed, her eyes guilty. The next morning, William leaving the suite first, followed by Olivia a few hours later, trying to look nonchalant. The evidence was irrefutable. William and Olivia, lovers for months, behind my back. I stared at the photographs, my expression unchanging. No rage, no anger, just coldness. a chilling emptiness that settled deep in my bones. "So," I said, my voice flat, emotionless. "My fiancée, sleeping with my brother." Marco nodded, his expression grim. "It's been going on for months," he confirmed. "We have recordings." "Recordings?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Audio," Marco clarified, "of their interactions." I nodded slowly. "And what do these interactions reveal?" Marco hesitated. "They're intimate," he said carefully. "Affectionate. They love each other." Love. The word tasted like ash in my mouth. Love. The excuse for every betrayal, every lie, every weakness. "Love?" I echoed, my voice laced with sarcasm. "How convenient." I leaned back in my chair, my gaze fixed on the photographs, on the faces of the two people who had betrayed me. William, my brother, my rival, my enemy. And Olivia, the woman I had trusted, the woman I had loved. Or at least I thought I had. "What do you want to do, Nathan?" Marco asked, his voice low, cautious. I didn't answer immediately. I was thinking, calculating, strategizing. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was an opportunity, a chance to destroy William. "We're going to leak this," I said finally, my voice cold, hard. "But not yet. Not now. We're going to wait. We're going to let them believe they've gotten away with it." "Are you sure? This is your brother and your fiancé?" Marco asked. I smiled, a slow, predatory smile that sent a shiver down Marco's spine. "I have zero tolerance for betrayal," I said, "which they will soon indelibly learn." "When do we strike?" Marco asked. "When it's going to hurt the most," I said as my gaze settled on my glass. The gloves were off. William had made the first move, a blatant attempt to poach Congressman Ramirez, one of my key allies in the House. Ramirez, a rising star with a growing Latino voter base, was crucial to my legislative agenda. William, with his usual charm and empty promises, had tried to sway him with the allure of a cabinet position in a future Sterling administration. "He's wavering," Marco had reported, his voice grim. "William's playing the family loyalty card, playing on Ramirez's ambition." "Ambition is a powerful motivator," I'd mused, swirling the brandy in my snifter. "But so is fear." I'd countered William's move with a classic maneuver, a quiet leak to the press about Ramirez's questionable campaign finance dealings, just enough to raise eyebrows and generate a few uncomfortable headlines. Nothing concrete, nothing provable, but enough to make Ramirez think twice about switching allegiances. He knew I had the power to bury him, and William, for all his charm, couldn't offer that kind of protection. William retaliated with a smear campaign of his own. Anonymous online comments about my supposed lack of empathy, my cold-blooded ambition, my ruthless tactics. Child's play, really. I countered with a series of carefully crafted op-eds highlighting my legislative achievements, my commitment to the working class, my vision for the future. The media, always hungry for a good narrative, ate it up. The war escalated. We traded blows, each move calculated, each attack designed to inflict maximum damage. William, with his media savvy and public appeal, tried to paint me as a heartless, calculating machine. I, in turn, exposed his inexperience, his lack of political acumen, his impulsiveness. The battleground shifted, from the media to the fundraising circuit. William, with his Hollywood connections and charismatic appeal, was a natural at charming donors. I countered with a more direct approach. A few well-placed phone calls to key donors, reminding them of my influence in the House, my ability to make or break their legislative agendas. Loyalty, after all, has a price. The stakes were high. Every endorsement, every dollar, every vote mattered. We were locked in a deadly dance, a game of political chess where the loser would be annihilated. One evening, I received an anonymous package. Inside, a compromising photo of William at a private party, surrounded by questionable company. The photo was grainy, but the implication was clear. William, the golden boy, had a wild side. I smiled, a slow, predatory smile. This was interesting. Very interesting. I called Marco. "We have a new asset," I said, my voice laced with amusement. "I think it's time to escalate." Marco, ever the pragmatist, didn't hesitate. "Consider it done," he said. The next day, the photo was leaked to a gossip website. The story went viral. Williams' team scrambled to contain the damage, issuing denials, claiming it was photoshopped, but the seed of doubt had been planted. The public, always eager for a scandal, lapped it up. William, for the first time, looked vulnerable. And I smelled blood. The war was far from over, but I knew I was winning. And I wouldn't stop until William was destroyed. Completely, utterly, irrevocably. The photo of William was a gift, a weapon delivered into my hands at precisely the right moment. But it wasn't enough. It was a jab, a distraction, not the knockout punch I needed. I needed something bigger. Something that would shatter his carefully constructed image. Something that would expose the rot beneath the polished facade. "Marco," I said, my voice calm, measured, "we need to amplify this." Marco, ever the strategist, nodded. "I agree. The photo is suggestive, but not conclusive. We need something irrefutable." "We need to expose his weakness," I said, my gaze fixed on the photo of William, his face flushed, his eyes glazed, surrounded by a gaggle of undesirables. "His weakness?" Marco echoed, his brow furrowed in thought. "His impulsiveness," I clarified. "His lack of control?" Marco's eyes widened in understanding. "Olivia," he said, his voice barely a whisper. I nodded. "We need to expose the affair, Marco, but we need to do it strategically." "The timing is crucial," Marco agreed. "We need to maximize the impact." Marco smiled, a slow, predatory smile that mirrored my own. "Consider it done," he said. The leak was subtle, a whisper in the right ear, a carefully worded tip-off to a trusted journalist. The journalist, a seasoned veteran with a nose for scandal, didn't need much encouragement. He was already on William's trail, sniffing out any hint of impropriety. Marco's team provided the guidance. They tracked William's movements, identified his patterns, pinpointed the weaknesses in his security detail. They were ghosts, unseen, unheard, manipulating the narrative. The journalist, armed with the information, followed William discreetly. He observed, he waited, he captured. The moment came. William leaving his office late one evening, his face drawn, his eyes tired. He got into his car, a sleek, black sedan, and drove not to his apartment, but to a quiet, upscale restaurant. The journalist followed, his camera ready. He watched as William entered the restaurant, his demeanor changing, his smile genuine. He was meeting someone special. Olivia. She arrived a few minutes later, looking radiant in a simple dress, her eyes sparkling with love? Or was it just lust? They sat at a secluded table, their conversation animated, their laughter intimate. The journalist, hidden in the shadows, captured it all. The stolen glances, the lingering touches, the kiss. The kiss was damning. A passionate embrace, a public display of affection. The journalist snapped a photo, the flash momentarily illuminating their faces, their guilt. They left the restaurant, hand in hand, their faces flushed, their eyes glowing. They got into William's car and drove away, disappearing into the night. The journalist followed, his heart pounding with the thrill of the chase, the scent of scandal. He tracked them to a hotel, a discreet, upscale establishment, the kind of place where secrets were kept. He watched as they entered the hotel, their arms entwined, their steps hurried. They disappeared into the elevator, their fate sealed. The journalist smiled, a slow, satisfied smile. He had his story, the story that would destroy William Sterling. He returned to his office, the photos burning a hole in his camera. He wrote the story, his fingers flying across the keyboard, the words flowing. He crafted the narrative, the angle, the headline. Governor William Sterling caught in compromising position with brother's fiancée. The story was published. The internet exploded. The scandal consumed William Sterling. And I watched it all unfold, a silent observer, a puppet master pulling the strings from the shadows. The game was on, and I was winning. Now I know what you must be thinking. Are you really taking things that far against your own brother? Well, for those of us climbing to the top of the food chain, there can be no mercy. There is but one rule: hunt or be hunted. The internet erupted. It was a digital wildfire, consuming William Sterling's carefully crafted image in a blaze of public outrage. Hash Sterling scandal, hash brother betrayal, hash Olivia Reynolds. The hashtags trended globally within minutes of the story breaking. The photos, the kiss, the hotel rendezvous, they were plastered across every news website, every social media platform, every screen. The media frenzy was immediate and relentless. News vans descended on Williams' mansion like vultures, reporters clamoring for a statement, cameras flashing, microphones thrust into the faces of anyone who dared to venture outside. Williams' carefully curated image of the charismatic, family-oriented governor was crumbling before the world's eyes. The public reaction was brutal. Comment sections filled with vitriol, social media flooded with memes mocking Williams' infidelity, his hypocrisy. How could he do this to his own brother? Was the common refrain, a chorus of moral outrage that echoed across the digital landscape. Williams' carefully cultivated image of integrity, of family values, of everything he claimed to stand for was now a joke. The political pundits weighed in, their voices grave, their words damning. This could be the end of William Sterling's career, they declared, their tone a mixture of shock and schadenfreude. His reputation is irreparably damaged. Williams' attempts at damage control were pathetic. His initial denials were met with scorn. His carefully worded statements about a private matter were dismissed as spin. He tried to portray the affair as a love story, a deep connection that he couldn't deny. But the public wasn't buying it. They saw him for what he was, a cheat, a liar, a betrayer. And then there was me. I, of course, was the picture of shocked disbelief. "I'm devastated," I said in a carefully crafted statement released to the press. "This is a personal tragedy. I never suspected anything." I played the role of the betrayed brother to perfection. My voice was somber, my expression pained, my words carefully chosen to evoke sympathy, to reinforce the narrative of William's betrayal. I even managed to shed a few well-placed tears during a televised interview, a performance that earned me a wave of public support. "Poor Nathan," the public murmured. "He deserves so much better." The sympathy for me was palpable. It was a tangible thing, a wave of public affection that washed over me, bolstering my image, strengthening my position. I was the victim, the innocent party, the man wronged by those closest to him. And the public loved it. The contrast between William's crumbling image and my soaring popularity was delicious. He was sinking, and I was rising. The political analysts began to speculate about the impact of the scandal on the upcoming primaries. "William Sterling's chances are slim," they declared. "This could be the nail in his coffin." Donors started pulling out of William's campaign, their wallets suddenly empty. His staff began to jump ship, sensing the impending doom. His carefully constructed political machine was imploding. He tried to salvage his reputation, appearing at public events, shaking hands, offering apologies, but the damage was done. The public's trust was broken, and it couldn't be repaired. Everywhere he went, he was met with jeers, insults, accusations. He was a pariah, a political leper, a laughingstock. The media, sensing the shift in the wind, turned on him with a vengeance. They dissected his past, scrutinizing his every move, exposing every flaw, every weakness. He was fair game, a target for their collective scorn. The scandal wasn't just a news story. It was a spectacle. A public execution of William Sterling's political career, and I was the executioner. I watched it all unfold, my expression carefully neutral, my emotions hidden. I felt a flicker of something, pity, maybe, but mostly satisfaction, justice. He had betrayed me. He had humiliated me. He had tried to steal what was mine, and now he was paying the price. The fallout was devastating. For William, for his career, for his life, and for me, it was just the beginning. The scandal had wounded William, but it hadn't killed him. He was still a threat, a wounded animal, dangerous and unpredictable. He needed to be finished. And that's where Marco came in. "The affair is good," I said to Marco, swirling the whiskey in my glass. "But it's not enough. We need to amplify the damage." Marco, ever the pragmatist, nodded. "I agree. The public's attention span is short. We need to keep the story alive. We need to remind them constantly of William's betrayal." "And how do we do that, Marco?" I asked, my voice smooth, almost casual. "We subtleties," Marco replied, a glint in his eye. "We don't want to appear overt. We want to plant seeds of doubt, whispers in the wind, suggestions, innuendo." "Precisely," I agreed. "We need to erode his support from within." Marco's operation was a masterpiece of subtle manipulation. He utilized a network of anonymous online posters, bloggers, and social media influencers to spread rumors. Not outright lies, but carefully crafted narratives that played on the public's emotions, their prejudices, their suspicions. The affair was the centerpiece of the campaign. It wasn't just a one-night stand, Marco's whispers suggested. It was a long-term, calculated betrayal. Olivia, the narrative went, wasn't just a victim. She was a co-conspirator, a gold digger, a social climber, a homewrecker. The whispers painted a picture of William and Olivia as two calculating individuals, driven by ambition, willing to use and betray anyone to get what they wanted. They were untrustworthy. They were dangerous. The rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by the public's fascination with scandal, their appetite for gossip. William's attempts to portray the affair as a love story were drowned out by the whispers of betrayal, the insinuations of manipulation. Marco's team also targeted William's past, digging up any hint of impropriety, any skeletons in his closet. Old college escapades, questionable business dealings, even minor traffic violations were dredged up and amplified, painted as evidence of William's moral weakness. Leaked emails, supposedly from William's staff, revealed his arrogance, his condescending attitude toward the public, his lack of respect for the office he held. The emails, of course, were carefully crafted, subtly altered, designed to paint William in the worst possible light. The smear campaign wasn't just about destroying William's reputation. It was about building me up, portraying me as the opposite of everything William represented. I was the loyal brother, the betrayed fiancé, the man of integrity, the man of the people. Marco's team carefully cultivated my public image, highlighting my charitable work, my commitment to family values, my dedication to public service. I was the good guy, the victim, the savior. The contrast between William and me was stark. He was the villain, and I was the hero. The smear campaign wasn't just about online whispers and leaked emails. It was about influence. Marco used his connections in the media to ensure that the stories, the rumors, the insinuations were amplified. He planted stories in newspapers, on television, on radio, ensuring that the narrative remained consistent. William's attempts to counter the smear campaign were futile. He was playing catch-up, constantly reacting to the rumors, the leaks, the attacks. He was on the defensive, and in politics, the defensive always loses. The smear campaign wasn't just about destroying William's career. It was about controlling the narrative. It was about shaping public opinion, manipulating perceptions, and winning. And I was winning. Big time. William's support continued to erode, his poll numbers plummeting, his campaign coffers emptying. He was becoming a liability, a political pariah. The whispers grew louder, the rumors more pervasive, the accusations more damning. William Sterling, the once golden boy, the media darling, the charismatic governor, was now tainted, damaged, destroyed, and I was just getting started. William's engagement announcement was a desperate gamble, a Hail Mary pass thrown in the face of impending political doom. He called a press conference, his face pale, his eyes shadowed, Olivia clinging to his side like a life raft. He spoke of love, of deep connection, of a bond that couldn't be denied. He painted a picture of a whirlwind romance, a love story that transcended the messiness of the situation. The media, of course, lapped it up. The story was too juicy to resist. The betrayed brother, the scandalous affair, the hasty engagement. But beneath the headlines, the whispers persisted. Was it love, or was it damage control? Was William truly remorseful, or was he just trying to save his career? The public was skeptical. The damage had been done. The trust was broken. William's carefully constructed image of the family man, the man of integrity, was shattered. And then there was the wedding. The wedding was a spectacle, a lavish affair, a gathering of the political elite, a display of wealth and desperation. William, in his perfectly tailored suit, looked haunted. Olivia, in her designer gown, looked lost. The guests were a study in contrasts. There were the loyalists, the diehards, the ones who still believed in William, who still clung to the hope that he could salvage his career. And then there were the opportunists, the ones who sensed the shift in the wind, the ones who were already hedging their bets. I watched it all unfold, a silent observer, a predator savoring the kill. The wedding wasn't a celebration of love, it was a funeral for William's political ambitions. The guests, the powerful, the influential, they weren't there to celebrate William and Olivia. They were there to assess, to evaluate, to choose sides. And the choice was obvious. I was the rising star, the man of the moment, the one with the momentum. William was damaged goods, a liability, a loser. The guests flocked to me, their smiles wide, their handshakes firm, their words empty. They offered congratulations, condolences, and pledges of allegiance. "Nathan," they said, their voices smooth, their eyes calculating, "we're with you. We always have been." They were bending the knee, offering their loyalty, their support, their money. They were investing in the future. And the future was me. William watched it all unfold, his face a mask of resignation. He knew. He knew that he had lost the public's trust, lost his father's support, lost everything. The wedding was a farce, a charade, a performance, and I was the star of the show. The guests toasted the happy couple, their glasses clinking, their laughter hollow. They were toasting me. They were celebrating my victory. I raised my glass, my smile genuine. This was my moment, my triumph, my inheritance. William and Olivia, standing at the head table, looked small, insignificant, defeated. The power had shifted, the tide had turned, and I was the one left standing. The wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a coronation of Nathan Sterling, the next president of the United States. The primary season was a bloodbath. William, crippled by the scandal and abandoned by our father, was a non-starter. His campaign imploded, his rallies sparsely attended, his speeches met with a mixture of apathy and derision. I, on the other hand, was riding a wave of public sympathy and political momentum. My campaign rallies were packed, my speeches met with thunderous applause, my fundraising coffers overflowing. But even as I savored the taste of victory, a new threat emerged. From within my own camp, Senator Daniel Reese, my carefully chosen running mate, the man who was supposed to be my loyal second-in-command, was playing a dangerous game. A game of betrayal. Marco, ever vigilant, brought me the evidence. "Reese has been meeting with Republican leaders," he reported, his voice grim. "Secret meetings, late at night, undisclosed locations." "Republicans?" I echoed, raising an eyebrow. What could he possibly be offering them? "Information," Marco said. "Dirt. On you, on your campaign, on your past." I felt a surge of anger. Not the fiery, impulsive kind, but a cold, calculating rage that settled deep in my bones. Reese, the man I had trusted, the man I had chosen, was betraying me. "Why?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Marco shrugged. "Ambition," he said. "He wants to be president. He thinks he can cut a deal with the Republicans, throw you under the bus, and emerge as their savior. I considered my options. I could confront Reese, demand an explanation, threaten him with exposure. But that would be messy. It would create a public spectacle, a distraction, a liability. No, I needed a more strategic approach. A way to neutralize Reese without tainting myself. Leak it, I said finally, my voice cold, hard. Leak the information to the press. Let them destroy him. Marco nodded. Consider it done, he said. The leak was surgical. A carefully worded tip-off to a trusted journalist, a few strategically placed documents, a trail of breadcrumbs leading to Reese's betrayal. The media, always hungry for a scandal, pounced on the story. Reese's secret meetings, his backroom deals, his treachery were exposed for all the world to see. The public reaction was swift and brutal. Reese, the once respected senator, the man who had been touted as a potential presidential candidate, was now a pariah. A traitor. A joke. His political career was over, his reputation ruined, his ambitions crushed. I watched it all unfold, my expression impassive, my emotions contained. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Justice. Reese had betrayed me. He had tried to use me, and now he was paying the price. The VP betrayal wasn't just a setback. It was an opportunity. A chance to strengthen my position, to solidify my support. I announced a new running mate, a war hero, a decorated veteran, a man of unquestionable integrity. The public, hungry for a hero, embraced him. My poll numbers soared. My campaign coffers overflowed. The VP betrayal had backfired on Reese. It had strengthened me. And as I prepared for the final push to the presidency, I knew nothing would stop me. Not William, not Reese, not anyone. I was unstoppable. The Democratic primaries were a formality. A coronation, really. William's implosion had cleared the field. The other contenders, those hopefuls who had dared to challenge my ascent, were now just footnotes. Their campaigns withered, starved of attention, starved of funding, starved of hope. They knew, as did everyone else, that the race was over. My campaign strategy was simple: domination. I leveraged my father's endorsement, a powerful symbol of establishment support, to solidify my base. The old guard, the party stalwarts, the deep-pocketed donors, they were all mine. They saw in me the future of the party, a return to order, a return to winning. William's scandal, of course, was a gift, a constant, ugly reminder of his weakness, his lack of judgment, his untrustworthiness. I didn't need to mention it directly. The media did it for me. Every news cycle, every debate, every interview, William's name was dragged through the mud, a cautionary tale of what happens to those who dare to cross the Sterling family. I ran a disciplined, focused campaign. No gaffes, no missteps, no apologies. I was a machine, precise, efficient, and utterly ruthless. I spoke in carefully crafted sound bites, my words measured, my message controlled. I projected an image of strength, of confidence, of inevitability. My rallies were spectacles, not the raucous, emotional gatherings of William's campaign, but carefully orchestrated events designed to project power, to inspire awe. The crowds were large, enthusiastic, but also respectful. They knew they were witnessing history in the making. I used my resources, my connections, my influence to maximize my reach. My campaign ads were slick, professional, and devastating. They painted a picture of a nation in crisis, a nation in need of strong leadership, a nation that needed me. I debated my rivals, not with anger or aggression, but with a quiet, condescending superiority. I dissected their arguments, exposed their weaknesses, and dismissed their ideas with a subtle flick of the wrist, a raised eyebrow, a knowing smile. They tried to attack me, of course. They tried to paint me as cold, calculating, ruthless, but their attacks bounced off me. I was impervious to their petty jabs, their desperate attempts to wound me. I was too strong, too focused, too determined. I was a force of nature, a political juggernaut, crushing everything in my path. The primaries were a formality. a series of check marks on a path I had already charted. I won state after state, each victory larger than the last. The other candidates, their campaigns gasping for air, their hopes dwindling, finally conceded. The media declared me the inevitable nominee. The party, the establishment, the people had spoken. I stood on the stage, bathed in the bright lights, the cheers of the crowd echoing in my ears. I raised my arms, a gesture of triumph. I had won. I had conquered. I had inherited my destiny. The Democratic nomination was mine. The presidency was next, and I wouldn't stop until I had it all. The roar of the crowd was deafening. A sea of faces illuminated by the flashing lights stretched before me, a wave of adulation washing over me. I stood at the podium, the microphone amplifying my voice, my words echoing through the convention hall. This was it, my moment, my triumph. My fellow Democrats, I began, my voice resonating with confidence. Tonight we celebrate. We celebrate the victory of our party, the victory of our ideals, the victory of hope. The crowd erupted in cheers, their enthusiasm palpable. They believed in me. They trusted me. They saw in me the future of the Democratic Party, the leader who would guide them to victory. We stand at a crossroads, I continued, my voice measured, my words carefully chosen. Our nation faces challenges, trials, tribulations. But we, the Democratic Party, we are ready. We are strong. We are united. I paused, letting the words sink in, allowing the crowd's cheers to build, to swell, to consume the hall. We will not back down, I declared, my voice ringing with conviction. We will not compromise our values. We will fight for what we believe in. We will fight for the American people. The crowd roared its approval, their voices a thunderous wave of support. They were with me. They were behind me. They were mine. And together, I said, my voice soft, almost intimate, together, we will win. We will win the presidency. We will win back our country. We will build a better future for all Americans. The hall exploded in cheers, the noise deafening. I raised my arms, acknowledging the adulation, basking in the glory of the moment. This was it, my destiny, my inheritance. As the cheers subsided, I scanned the crowd, my gaze sweeping across the sea of faces. And then I saw them, William and Olivia. They were standing near the back, their faces unreadable. They were no longer relevant, no longer important, no longer a threat. They were just spectators, witnesses to my triumph. I looked directly at them, my eyes meeting theirs. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. My gaze was enough. A silent message, a clear, unmistakable declaration. The road to power is paved with hypocrisy and casualties, and they were just casualties. And as I stood there, bathed in the lights, the cheers of the crowd echoing in my ears, I knew this was just the beginning. The presidency was mine. The power was mine. And I wouldn't stop until I had it all.